Hi everyone, thanks for tuning into F1 Podcast. We're up to episode 96, and Max, this issue with the pie being divvied up in F1 has been big news this week, and I knew from the start, Max, that Bernie was going to come under a lot of pressure with this financial situation in F1, and it's happened, mate.
Yeah, it sure has, and it's happened with a bang. As we were discussing off camera, mate, I'm just glad that it's all come out in the wash now. We've recently seen the demise of Honda. And we're now in a position where we've, in the red corner, we've got Max and Bernie, and in the blue corner we've got Fota, talking about divvying up the spoils of Formula One. So, yeah, very interesting times, and we learned a little bit about Ferrari this week as well, mate.
Yeah, we did. I mean, it started with Luca and Max sort of talking about the finances, and then Luca and Bernie talking about the finances, and Bernie let slip, he didn't let slip, let's face it. He was coming out fighting, saying that Ferrari have had preferential treatment in Formula One, and something that we've all probably suspected for a long time, but they're coming out and saying it publicly, which I thought was really interesting, Max. And, Bernie's protecting his patch. He's got a large financial interest, and he's coming out fighting, baby.
Yeah, he sure is. And apparently this was it was a badly kept secret from the rest of the teams on the grid. It came as no surprise. John Howlett has turned around and said, "Yeah, we all knew anyway. Ferrari have a special place in Formula One, so they get some extra cash. We all know that. It's no shock." But Bernie's used it as a cane, I guess, against Ferrari and Luca in particular, saying, "Careful, Tiger, you already get more money than anyone else," and now it's out in the public domain. My view, as you said, mate, I think we've all suspected for quite some while that Ferrari do get a little bit of preferential treatment, and I think all our McLaren fans would agree.
Max, I think it's about time that we had some transparency with these financial numbers and these arrangements. This is a modern sport, and it is a business. And the way that the pie's divvied up, and things like secretive agreements with the Concord Agreement, and the fact that Bernie can have a company which is basically his family's company or his wife's company, really. But anyway,
yes.
And a couple of private equity players or whatever taking 50%, and so if you think about pie chart, all the teams get the rest, and Bernie gets this huge slice, and mate, that's a carryover from the 80s and from before that, and it needs to be changed, Max.
I totally agree, and here we are all in this. We've all jumped on the bandwagon of cost cutting and all that sort of business, which has got a lot of credence to it. No argument there, but I would have thought, mate, that the easiest way to ensure that there are 10 teams on the grid, not 9 as we have at the moment, but 10 teams on the grid, and potentially even more, maybe up to 12 teams. Would be to divvy up the money in a more fair and equitable way.
Yeah.
That's a start. Lowering the cost to enter Formula One would be another good start, but obviously Bernie's protecting his empire, and as you quite rightly said, at the moment we've got a 50-50 split. Bernie and his companies get 50%, and the rest is divvied up to the other teams. Depending on, also, let's not forget, if you come last or second last, you're not going to get much of that pie. That 50% that's been allocated to the team. So I just don't think that's fair and equitable, and hopefully Fota get their way and can force Bernie and Max into a corner and divvy the spoils up. Then we get more teams on the grid.
Yeah, I agree, and Flavio was talking about running a team at 70% less financially, so maybe Bernie should take 70% less, Max.
It'll never happen.
Yeah. All right, mate, the other news this week, the big news has been the suitors for Honda, and we had our £1, Max, but it wasn't good enough to get Honda, but they've been ProDrive.
Missed it by that much.
Yeah, exactly. So close. We've had ProDrive, we've had Mexican, Far East, Middle Eastern interest, Max, so there's been lots of interest.
VJ Malia expressed some interest. So what I would guess, mate, is some fairly credible players. I think being led by David Richards. It's no surprise that he came within a bee's dick of getting into Formula One last year with a McLaren Mercedes customer engine deal, which was poo-pooed by a couple of the team principals.
Nice combination, Max.
Poo and bees, there you go. But he signalled his intent that he's interested. But I thought his comments were interesting the other day when he said this is not just a fly by the seat of the pants decision. There's a hell of a lot that happens in the background that has to be taken into consideration. You know, the employment of the team, the facilities, and all this sort of thing.
And I think a while ago he was saying that it's quite an expensive facility. It's it's world class, and therefore it's it's probably not hit the way that he would normally want to go into Formula One. But he might not have a choice.
Well, mate, for Ross Brawn to turn around the other day and say that the facilities at Brackley are on a par to Ferrari's facilities is, in my opinion, either a masterstroke of PR. Or a ringing endorsement of the Honda setup. I'd like to believe it's the latter. So anyone and they're still pressing on with next year's car.
Pushing on, yeah.
It'll be a going concern. So whoever buys it, I think, will get very good infrastructure. But as David Richards said, it is a huge ask.
Yeah, and of course David Richards hasn't got WRC to play with anymore, so he's got more time on his hands. If I was a betting man, Max, I'd probably say that he would be the one.
Well, he's got form, mate. He ran Benetton and BAR.
Exactly,
forget.
And he was successful with BAR, so we'll see. And Toyota this week have announced some.
Hang on, did you say successful with BAR or successful with Benetton?
He was successful with BAR. I think he got BAR their best season ever, didn't he?
Yeah, I think
in terms of results.
I think it was 03 for memory.
And then he sort of left, and then they languished a little bit. But what I was going to say was Toyota, Max, is of course they've had some disappointing financial results. The first loss that they've posted in 70 years. And I saw that on the news, and I immediately thought, like you guys would have, there's going to be some pressure or some press release. And of course it came saying we're fine, we're pushing ahead, which is good.
Take that Honda, we're still here.
We're still going to invest, yeah.
But one of the things Pep and I were talking about a couple of hours ago was if you put this in context, okay, so Toyota are apparently going to post a $2 or $2.4 billion loss, first time in, as we said, 70 years. But if you put that in context, the amount of money that they've generated over, say, the last 20 years would be in the billions and billions of dollars. This is a blip on the radar as far as I'm concerned. And it wasn't of their making, it's the economic climate, so I'm pleased that Toyota have committed. But for goodness sake, the amount of money they spend per annum on that bloody F1 team, they've really got to start getting some results. And I thought they had their best season last year, mate, but that they've had in a long time. So hopefully they can carry that momentum forward into 09.
Yeah, God knows they've had a long-term commitment to Formula One, and they've kept at it. And you're right, Max, with the road cars in the Formula One, it's a long-term thing. I mean, you have these blips in, maybe it would be a few years, couple of years or whatever, but they keep going, they keep doing business.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope that there won't be any more nasty surprises between now and Melbourne, Max.
Yep.
Alright guys, we'll see you for the next one soon.
Bye.
Bye.